Hey, Johnny.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I appreciate you being here, everyone. Today I'm very, very pleased on this chilly SoFlo afternoon to welcome Johnny Simmons from Johnny Simmons Photography here in the SoFlo area. So thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm very excited.
Well, I consider photography to be many things, Johnny. I consider it to be it's art. You are an artist, and as you look through the lens of the camera, you are looking through that, to me, in the way that someone who paints looks at a scene or a person or whatever. It's the same. You have to have that same, to me, that I'm not a photographer, but I want you to tell me if that is not how you feel as being a photographer, because you are also, you're responsible. You have a big responsibility because as a photographer in people's lives, you're capturing their moments. I mean, whether it's a wedding or a portrait or any other occasion, that is an important point in someone's life. That's a big responsibility as well as being an artist.
You're absolutely right. I 100% agree with what you just said, actually, and that's exactly how I feel about being a photographer. I truly believe photography is a form of art. We're just like painters, sculptors, people who use a brush. We just use a camera and a lens. But at the same token, it's not just looking into the camera to take a picture. There's a lot of things that you got to take into consideration when you're getting ready to take a picture. So it's not just point the camera and shoot. It's more than just that.
Step us through that. Yeah, just step us through that. What does that mean for you as a photographer?
Well, for me, basically that means setting up your subject. Let it be a person, a pet, an object. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is that you're taking a picture, you got to set it up to where it's going to be what you want it to be. Then you got to take into consideration lighting, shadows, shades. So when you're looking through the lens and getting ready to take it, or right before you take it, you're checking to see if the shades are correct, if the lighting's hitting the face just right. If the sunlight, if you're using natural light, you have the sunlight. Is the sunlight just right? Is it too bright? So that's where you come into play with having to adjust your apertures, your f-stop, and your ISO so you can get the right exposure in your lens. Now, after the picture's taken, it's going to look nice, but it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be great because then you got to take it into Photoshop, Lightroom, or Photoshop. Everybody's different in what they want to use. I personally use Lightroom. And then if I want to do some extras, I take it into Photoshop and do a little bit of extra tweaking. But yeah, then once you take it there, then you could do the final touches on it.
Now, I did a little research on you, and you really sort of fell in love with the idea of photography in high school when you were still in high school.
Yes, I did. I fell into photography class in high school. I didn't even plan on taking it, and one of my friends was taking it. They're like, "You should join me." I was like, I'll try it. And I just tried it, and I loved it. I mean, I had a great time. My teacher was amazing.
Those teachers are everything, Johnny, aren't they? They're everything.
They really are. Mm-hmm. They really, really are. And she was a great teacher. She showed us a lot. I learned a lot. I was younger then. I mean, I learned what I could. But then, after that, then I don't know if you noticed, after high school, I went to vocational school and I did TV production.
I did notice that. Yes. Tell us about that a little bit, how that kind of plays into what you do now.
TV production was funny, too, because I kind of fell into that one, too. I wasn't supposed to be in that class. They messed up when they signed the class. So I kind of fell into that. But I'm glad I did because there I learned a little bit more about lighting, setting up lightings, how lights look on a subject, and I got to learn behind the scenes of how a news broadcast show would go. So, I mean, we had teleprompters. I mean, we had it all. We had a full news studio.
Oh, wow.
And it was amazing. It was amazing. So I learned a lot from there, and then I went off over and I finished up in computer graphics, and that's where I started.
That's brilliant. That was a good move, a very good move.
Yeah.
Now, when you and now correct me here, but what I read, your first camera was a Minolta, and
yes.
that was your first experience. Tell us how that has changed for you personally, because I know how it's changed in my life with camera and photos that I take. But what has that meant for you as where you've gone through these stages of advancement and just really, boy, it has morphed so dramatically. Tell us a little bit about that from your perspective.
Well, back then when I first got into the cameras and the kind of DSLR style type cameras back then, it was different. I mean, we were dealing with film. Mm-hmm. You had to get the right film. You had different speeds of film, and it takes a lot to learn about the different speeds and what different speeds are going to do for you when you're dealing with film. So not only that, then you got to think about your, again, aperture, ISO, and all this other stuff that you got to think about. You got to know your lighting outside. So back then, a lot of the photographers back then, the old school style photographers, they had this niche in them because they were so used to it that they've done it so long and so much that they knew exactly where to set their camera settings, exactly what speed film they had. And to nowadays, pretty much anybody thinks that they could just go pick up a camera and take a nice shot, which they can take a nice shot. But again, it goes back to when you look through that lens, are you just seeing the thing you want to take a picture of, or are you seeing a whole canvas? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
I know exactly.
That's the difference between someone just picking up a camera and taking it. That is a huge difference. So, yeah, a lot have changed with our cameras now in this time that we're in right now, and it made it a lot easier for photographers to, when we take a shot, we can go back and look at it right away, like, oh, my gosh, I want to make changes to this light stand over here. I want to pull it back further, or I want to drop my temperature or my ISO, so we can actually look now to see where we need to make adjustments instead of waiting until after we print. We develop the film, and then we got to print it. So it's made our jobs a lot easier, but we still need that knowledge of photography to do what we do best.
Well, and two, I'm just going to jump out on a limb here and say, I think in a way, I would imagine it would be a little bit harder in this regard, because I think if I were a photographer, a professional photographer like you, and my job was to shoot an event, whatever it is, it's a wedding, it's a, something, like I said, pets, whatever, but especially at an event where there are a lot of people there and everyone is getting in the way with their phones and taking their own pictures. And I just think that would be very, very difficult, especially it would seem at weddings, where you have to deal with everyone holding up their own telephone, taking pictures, and you understand why they want to do it, but I still think that I would imagine it's at least a tiny bit of a challenge anyway.
It can be. It really can be a challenge, but when I'm dealing with weddings, if the bride doesn't request people to not have their phones out, then there's not much I can really do. Now, I have had some brides that had signs up saying, please, no cameras, let the photographer do their job, and blah, blah, blah. When they do that, I'm great, because then I don't have that problem of if I'm looking down the aisle behind the bride and groom and I got someone stick their camera out down the aisle while I'm trying to take a picture and I see their camera in my picture, it takes away from my shot.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But if a bride doesn't say anything, like usually I'll ask them what their rules are going to be for their wedding and see what they say. But if they don't say anything, then I just work around it. I work around it.
Which apparently you do very well, because I've also seen some testimonials about you and your work and how you are very agreeable to working with your clients and so forth. I do have to tell you though, I couldn't take my eyes off a photo one of your photos. It was on a beach. It's a bride, and this may not click with you immediately, but you you're looking out toward the water, or they're on the beach, and he's holding her. She's like kind of bending over, and he kind of catches her, in other words, on his arms.
He dipped her.
Oh my God, he dipped her. Thank you. That's
he dipped her.
That's it. Yes,
yes.
and the netting on her. It took my breath away. The way that the wind caught, it's just stunning. It's absolutely gorgeous. I couldn't take my eyes off of it. It's like, and the background is it's darkish, and it's gorgeous, Johnny. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you so much. Yeah, if I'm thinking of the right one, that couple, a young couple, they were so much fun, and actually I know his mom, and she told him, "Hey, you got to hire Johnny." So we had a meeting, and everything went great, and I had a great time at their wedding. I had a great time.
I'm telling you,
it was so much fun.
They looked happy. They looked like they were having fun, and it was just absolute thing. But I also I did a little, snooping into your Facebook, your homepage, on your Facebook, and you have two really interesting shots on there that I believe the caption said you'd been working. I didn't look at the date, but they're really.
Yes, I just posted that.
So, oh wow.
Talk
just
about
posted those. Oh my.
Yeah, what that is called is composites, and a composite. This is taking the art from taking a picture to a whole nother level. Is what composites do.
Boy, it sure does.
You're taking multiple images, and putting them together to make them work great. So you have to make them look seamless to where that looks like, you know what, that's an actual picture that he took or he painted or whatever. And that's what that is. And I've been working on that a lot lately. Well, like I said, over the past couple of years to try to hone my skills on it. Now, I'm not perfect at it, but the more I practice with it, the better I get. Then I learn new things. They have courses out there, which I do take courses online for when I want to learn new things, because photography is always changing. There's always new stuff coming out. So I'm always trying to keep up on everything new coming out. So I've been taking a couple little courses about composites and just practicing at home. But that is actually that's two of probably four that I've done. I haven't posted the other ones yet. I had one bride who actually they loved Harry Potter. So she had like a Harry Potter type thing. So she really wanted to have these wands, and the bride and bridesmaids, and then the grooms and groomsmen were separate, and they were doing like a wizard battle. So that was really cool. So I took one picture of them two together doing a wizard battle, just the two of them, and I put them in a castle, and I added these special effects of lighting and all this other stuff. And it was amazing. I don't know if I still have that one posted. That's an older one.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
But she loved it.
Wow.
She loved that picture. And it came out great. But, yeah, that's another thing I do. I'm working with the composite to try to bring more to my table as a photographer, to show my clients I can also do this.
Those are really stunning. That, to me, I see that as a kind of thing that could really become, like, to put that on canvas, transfer that image onto canvas and have that in a gallery. I mean, I just see so much potential for you with that. It's gorgeous, gorgeous. Now, I want to ask you this. Oh, you're welcome. Are you a good subject when someone takes your picture?
Oh my God! It's rare that I'm in front of a camera. It's very rare. But I guess I'm a good subject. I guess I am. I mean, I guess I have my moments. I have my moments where I feel like don't take my picture right now.
Well, or to tell them, no, the lighting is wrong. But I took your picture. You were gracious enough. I took your picture recently at an event, and
yes, you
did.
You
were very gracious. You didn't say a word. You just let me snap away. What is do you have a favorite? Like, I know you do everything. You do pets, you do children. You do. You have a vast a palette there. But if you had to choose, if you just had to choose, and you could only do one, is that an impossible question to answer? And if it is, that's okay.
That is an impossible. For me, it's an impossible question.
Yeah.
it, to say that to have one thing I would like to do, this if I had to. Someone say, Johnny, this is all you have to do, and this is all you can do. What is it? I mean, it's hard to say. I would probably say, if anything, as long as and this is going to be a wide, broad statement, okay?
Okay.
As long as I get to photograph people, I'm fine. I enjoy being around people.
Well, that's obvious. It. Yeah.
I enjoy people.
Yeah.
Some photographers, like I say, they prefer to do just animals or objects, plants, scenery. I mean, I'll do that kind of stuff, but I really do enjoy interacting with people, and helping them bring out that different side, that excitement, that emotions, and helping them bring all that out and capturing that. I enjoy that. So I would say, definitely working with people, weddings, portraits, families, things like that, models, things like that. I enjoy doing that kind of thing.
How have you dealt with this lockdown that we have been in? It's because you have to be with people in order to take pictures. So how has that impacted you and what you do, or have you just worked around it?
Well, when this first started happening last year with the lockdown, I was doing great. I was busy. I had things going on, and then COVID hit. So things were still going on, but COVID didn't hit bad yet, and then it started getting worse. Then they started about lockdown. So pretty much my industry shut down. Everything shut down. People were at home. They weren't calling. My realtors, because I also do real estate photography. I do a lot of that during the week. Real estate is what I do during the week, a lot of.
Okay.
So a lot of my agents had to cancel. I also contract with another company for real estate photography, so a lot of my clients through them had to cancel. So a lot of things got put on hold for a couple months, and it was hard. It was very hard. Luckily, I had to help with unemployment that I had to fill out, so I had help with that. So that helped cushion a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the government did their thing for small businesses that helped cushion too. So that helped me make it through. That helped us make it through a little bit. And like I said, I have my wonderful wife who's a nurse, so she, with her support and her backing of her job, it kept us going a little bit.
Well, please thank her, being a nurse. Thank her for her service of doing the good work out there as well.
Oh, I definitely will. Definitely will. And then I was very surprised to see, I would say towards the end of the year, September, October, things started picking back up.
Good.
Things started picking back up, and boom, I was busy, and I was very excited.
I think if we can get all of this vaccine business going, I think we're all going to be able to write this a little bit more. Now, listen, who do you have someone in particular in art or in photography in that field that has really influenced you? You look at their work and you go, I love what they do so much. They really, I want to take a little piece of what they do and make it my own in my own way. Is there anyone in particular that you really look up to?
Well, there is a lot of photographers out there that I follow that I admire because I think their work is beautiful. I don't have one set one. I think, like you just said, I take a little bit and say, I want to try that. I want to do this. I want to take a little bit of that. And I do that with a lot of photographers that I follow. I don't think I can necessarily name just one because there's so many of ones right now out there that I'm just like, wow. So they're an inspiration. A lot of photographers are an inspiration to me, I will say, and help me to try to do better and be better and expand myself further. Because I've been in business for about 8 years. I know a lot, but I still have a lot to learn.
You know
what? Never stop learning.
You don't. That never ends. I don't care how old you are. It never ends. I mean, and it shouldn't. It really shouldn't.
It shouldn't. It really shouldn't.
What is the most, besides being paid for what you do, obviously that is crucial. But besides that, what's the most rewarding? Is it when you capture a life's moment for someone. And because these photos, that's what I was saying at the beginning, where you are stepping into people's lives and their memories that they hold forever. I mean, Gary and I, my husband and I, have literally boxes and boxes of old photos that go way, way back in our family. And you look back and half the people you don't even know, but you know, but it's a slice of that moment that's never going to come again. And you're there. You were there to capture it. And I think that's huge. I think that's I just think it's very meaningful. So if I were a photographer, I think that would be incredibly rewarding for me.
It is. It really is. It's almost like a high. I mean, again, you can't make everybody happy, but you can. I mean, I do get my ones, and I will clearly say, I don't have a huge problem with making my clients happy. I get a lot. My most exciting thing is I love it when they call me after they've gotten their images, or when I post them on my website for them to view and make their selections. I love hearing them say, "Johnny, you have made my job so hard right now," and I say, "Thank you."
Yeah, I can see that.
You know, I say, "Thank you." So I've done my job. I have done my job if I made your job hard.
I can really see that would be the case with your photography and people. I really can. Now, what about your own family, your wife, is it like stop taking pictures, or when you're not really, doing it for your job, do you not? I mean, do you just say, I'm kind of done. I don't want to do, we're going on a picnic and we're going to someplace really beautiful, but I'm not taking any photos. I'm just not. Does that ever happen?
Yes, I do that. With my family, I used to take, when my kids were younger, that's when I would take the most pictures, because I know as they got older, they wanted me to stop. So I would take everything I can when they were younger. And I have 3 kids, and they've all been through it. So my last one is my daughter, and she is 6. So she still lets me take a couple pictures here and there. She still likes to pose for me and stuff. But otherwise, when it comes to photos, yes, when my family, my mom and my sister, they say, "John, can you bring the camera?" And I say, "Really? Really? Oh my gosh!"
I can see that. I totally see it. No,
but
I
it's
can't.
It's my mom, so I got to go. Okay, Mom, I'll bring it.
That's a good son. Good job, Johnny. Good job.
I'll bring it. And same thing with my mother-in-law. I mean, she goes, "Oh, don't forget your camera on vacation. Don't forget your camera." "Oh, yes, Mom, I know vacation. I will bring it." And yeah, I usually bring it, especially when we go on vacations. I love to bring it because you just never know what you're going to see that day. And we usually do a lot of beach vacations, so I like taking nice beach scenery shots and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll take it on my vacation if I'm enjoying myself with it.
And sometimes probably the least expected photo opportunity is when you're not planning. It's just like it
exactly.
It's like there it is.
Exactly.
Got to capture it. Got to capture it.
That happens a lot. And I'll tell you, sometimes when we do go on our family vacations and let's to the beaches, I always bring my camera because usually there's always some kind of a lightning storm going on in the far distance. So at night, I'll usually set my camera up and put it on timers, and I'll just start taking a whole bunch of pictures until I find that right shot. And I've captured a couple of great shots with lightning at night.
And you know what? That is hard. I mean, just like us with our little phones, our little iPhones, it's that, and the weather, the clouds, and especially I think the sunsets and the weather moving through SoFlo where we are here in the Palm Beaches, it's incredible. The sky can be incredible. It's just, but you can't capture it with a little phone. There's no way.
No,
okay,
now
no listen. Way. Tell us something fun, if you want to. You don't have to. Something that no one knows about you that might be fun. You don't have to. You can decline this request.
No, I know someone's fun that people don't know about me. Something fun. Okay. Well, Well, a lot of people already know this. I mean, I don't think I have anything. I know a lot of people. I'll say this, and I'm not sure if it's fun or not, but just some things that people might not realize about me, because I'm a big guy, and when people see me, they go, "Oh my God, he's a big guy," you know.
Yeah.
But at heart, I'm a softie at heart, and
Aww.
I don't like spiders.
Oh,
I don't like spiders.
Yeah.
And
Well,
they creep me out. I can't do spiders. I can't.
you know, there's an actor. I can't remember if it's Kevin Bacon, Rob Lowe. It's one of those kind of actors, and he said he had a true phobia about spiders, and he said he will not put on a pair of shoes without shaking it because there could be a spider. And he said he didn't know why he had that, but in the toe of the shoe, a closed-in shoe, there could be a spider. So he always shakes it. He always shakes it up. So you're not alone.
I'm not alone. I tell my wife, that's funny that you say it, because I tell my wife that when we were in the heightened time of COVID, she would take her shoes off outside and not bring them in the house, which is totally understandable. But I would tell her, hey, in the morning, make sure you shake those shoes out. You never know what's going to be in there.
Exactly.
You never know.
You really don't.
You know. Oh, my gosh. Yeah,
well,
you really don't.
What have I missed that I should have asked you, Johnny? What have I missed?
I think you've done a lot of your homework, and you did it. You did it good. But I will say this. I'll take you a little bit further back into my history.
I'd love that.
As I took you where I started in high school. Then I went to TV production and computer graphics. I also worked at a portrait studio, a company called ASAP Photo. That's really where I went to the next stage of my photography interest. And I learned, I was like the assistant to the photographer. And I was the goofy guy in the back making everybody laugh, getting the kids to pay attention and laugh. I was that goofy guy putting on funny hats.
Okay. That's important.
I had a blast. And people loved it. And my photographer who I was working for, she was like, John, you are so good with this. Well,
it's a skill.
It's a skill. And back then, she was still using film photography. So she actually had a printing studio. So we actually did all our prints there. That's when I started learning, besides outside of high school, I started learning how printing machines worked, how the chemicals worked, and all this other stuff. I learned all that because we did all in-house printing and developing of our stuff.
That's wonderful.
I also took my skills that I learned in high school from developing black and white film, because in high school that's what we used was black and white. I took the skills from there and took them there because I already knew how to do it with her. And I told her, I've developed black and white tons of times. So I used to do a lot of that, and I had a great experience working with that company. They were a very nice family-owned company.
I love black and white photography. I think it is, again, to me, it's art. It's just, it's so distinctive, and it's especially certain photos in black and white are just really appealing.
Yes, it is. And probably another thing I'll tell you, and I think this one I'm going to say here is going to go out to the future brides.
Okay.
Upcoming brides. Because I had someone ask me before. I had this conversation with another bride I did her wedding for and stuff like that. So we started talking about some things about her wedding and how she wished she did certain things differently about her wedding. And I was her photographer. She said, John, you did a great job, but there were some other things outside of photography, meaning with the caterer or the limo or whatever, that she would have did differently. My advice to people, to upcoming brides, is make sure you do your research on who you're going to decide to do your photos or who you're going to decide to DJ or anything like that. Make sure you do your research and make sure you meet them. Always meet your vendors. Try your hardest to meet your vendors. Even if you got to talk to them on the phone, maybe try to meet up with them, but always meet your vendors, because it does happen to where, you don't know who you're dealing with, and you might not mesh. You might not click together. And it does happen. Yeah. Just because they're a photographer don't mean they're going to click with you. So always meet your vendors. And I told my sister that, because my sister's planning her daughter's wedding. And I said, gee, make sure you meet your vendor. Meet your photographer, meet your vendors, meet this, meet that. You know, because you don't want
That's
to all of a
good
sudden get
advice.
there
Yeah.
and you're like, who's this person? And you guys aren't meshing together. They're not getting you those images you want because they don't know who you are. Because when you're a photographer, you're like becoming a part of that family.
Yeah.
For that one moment. For those couple of hours, you're becoming a part of the family. And you play a huge part of the wedding. Not only does the DJ does, but the photographer plays huge parts in the wedding.
Oh, gosh, there has to be tremendous trust. I mean, because it's such a stressful thing anyway, and there's excitement. You don't even have to know what's going on because it's such an emotional time. And there has to be a huge trust factor, I'm sure.
Huge trust factor, huge.
Yeah.
And you have to trust your photographer.
Yeah.
You have to, because they're the ones that are capturing everything. So
great advice.
One of my little advice I to give out there to everybody. But,
well, that's good advice, and I have loved our chat. I have loved you being a guest on Gigi and the 561 today. Thank you so much for agreeing to it. I know you're really busy, and for you to take out time to do this podcast is so great. So thank you, Johnny Simmons.
Thank you so much, Gigi, for having me. I really do appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Now, everyone, I want you to look him up. It's Johnny Simmons, Simmons, photography. Go check out a couple of public photos he has on his Facebook page. You are going to love them. And don't forget, go to our website, of course, northpalmbeachlife.com, where you will always find the podcast, Gigi and the 561, as well as My Father's Tales. These podcasts are also available on Spotify, iTunes, Pandora, and many other platforms. So you can find us. We're out there everywhere. Don't forget to just dive down into the website. Gary has a lot of interesting stuff out there. Don't even have to read if you don't want to. Lots of photos. We're going to have a page up for this podcast, so you will get to see this handsome man on the other end of this podcast today. You will get to see his face on his page when it is posted, and I will let everyone know when that will be. Now, don't forget to rewind back to our other podcasts, our guests that have already been here. We have some really fun, fascinating people just like ours today. So stay tuned.